Oh my God, I've been talking for like 20 minutes. That's so frustrating. Oh, that's annoying. Oh well, we're learning. We are learning. It was hidden behind my keeping an eye on the YouTube comments. So there you have it. Okay. That mask is decent for now. Maybe we do want to drop the exposure just slightly. Not anything too dramatic, but just enough. I'm going to add in another linear gradient from the bottom, coming up to just above the horizon line there, and oh boy, I wish I could make that brighter, but it just doesn't work out that way. Just for up the contrast a little bit, bring up highlights significantly. Shadows don't have to be too bright, but I do want to make them slightly more, which means we're going to tweak this down a little bit more. There we go. Whites can come up. Trying to make sure that we maintain some of the star detail in the reflection, but keep blacks all the way black. There we go. And we can also go cooler to make it feel like it's reflecting that blue sky a little bit more. That's nice. And let's take saturation down at the bottom, and then it'll get more kind of blue right in this bottom sixth. Okay, that's good for that one. I'm going to do a radial. I hate the red. Drop contrast here. Highlights can go down a scotch so we don't lose too much detail. Shadows can be up a little bit. Kind of do like whites up for a really good pop there. And then we make blacks more black. And we can, ooh, look at that. Going a little warmer with it. Kind of like that. Kind of like that, what we're getting there. That is nice. Question is, how saturated do we want it? Not very. I think that's looking pretty damn good. Let's revisit where this is going to, because we may want this to be a little bit bigger and have this area be a little bit smaller. And it's looking very dramatic. Ooh, I like that. Check this out. Without masks, and then with, oh, look at how much more that pops. Although now, let's see, we gotta go back up to the top mask. And I think we don't want it to get quite so dark at the top. I don't remember what that was at, but I'm hoping that that looks a little better. Maybe this one's a little too pushed. We might have pushed that a little too far. That looks quite a bit more realistic just off the rip. That's nice. Oh, have fun in Valorant. Hope you guys are crushing it. Okay. Feeling pretty good about this, where it is sitting. So we're going to mark this 3 stars. Or actually, this one's 4 stars. This one's 3 stars. This is just crazy to me how much more purple this became. But let's see. We're going to sit back and look for a second and just see what needs to maybe change. I'm going to see if adding a little bit of a vignette helps it. I think it does. I think we want like a 21, and I think we want to feather it significantly. But that's maybe not quite that intense. Maybe more like a 9, 10. I don't like that it shows in the corners there, but that's nice. Just pushes you into the image slightly more. Okay. This is in a good spot. Let's now take it into Photoshop. There we go. Right off the bat, I know that I want to add more stars. I don't think this needs any skewing, so we're going to jump right into adding and subtracting things. And I think to kick that off, we want to start with stars. So we're going to add a bunch of these bad boys in here. Just to give it a little bit more pop, a little more pizzazz. We're being careful to add stars, and then if we need to, we are going to blend them into the water. Love this little patch of stuff up here. Want to make more of that. Hmm. Dang it. Freaking amateur hour here. Losing my camera. I'm losing. I didn't start with freaking microphone forever. I'm just struggling. But we are having fun. We're still enjoying ourselves, and that's the important part, right? I'm not going to do that one as close there. I'm going to do this more like here. We want to start adding in stars to spots that don't have them, but we want to keep a lot of that centralized to this middle, since that's where the Milky Way was highly visible. So I'm going to keep adding, just sort of duplicating little guys in here, making it feel like that Milky Way was really one-to-one reflecting as much as we can. This can be a little bit tedious, but it comes out so beautiful when you just hunker down, spend the time, really give the photo the time and energy that it deserves. And then it kind of curves back this way. So even like some of this, oh no, that doesn't look good at all. I was going to say sort of peppering the dust that's in the Milky Way deeper into the thing might look kind of nice, but I think what I actually want to do is just get a bigger concentration of visible stars that sort of walk you down the trail. So I'm just grabbing a bunch of these and peppering them in there, and then we're going to sort of take the time to bring this back to center. So we want these stars to kind of curve back down to right about here, because that's what this top one does. You can see that we're getting this nice similar arc. I can even do it like this so we can see more of the image, so that it feels more realistic. And I think we need to really stay in this area for the time being until we get this feeling like it's a little bit more dense. No, that's not a good call. Come on, Aaron. See, I'm grabbing too dark. I'm making mistakes. Gotta just keep the tones consistent. That's looking nice. Don't want to overdo it. Don't want it to look too unrealistic, but it is nice to have that kind of trail marked out so we can see what it looks like without, and then we added a bunch of stars in. And we can do some similar cleanup up here, like this being as bright as it was. I think this was a planet. I don't know what planet. I'm pretty sure it was a planet though. And I kind of want this to not be so crazy and bright. So let's take some of this blue and sort of paint out the purple splotch that's happening around this. Grab some of this. We don't want it to be like perfectly fixed, if that makes sense. because then it starts to look like, oh, somebody definitely brought this into Photoshop and changed a bunch of stuff. But we wouldn't hate to see, why is that not blending right? Yeah, that's going to look a lot better once we get this all cleaned up a little bit more. I should go from like the outside in, I think. Don't quote me on that, it's just what feels correct to do in this situation. Blend some of this lighter blue in. We might lose a star there, but I want to preserve this nice big one if we can. There we go. Okay. You know what? I kind of hate that. Now that I'm looking at it, it's too light blue. We got to get the dark back in. It looked a lot cleaner with more of a dark blue. We don't want too many elements repeating in a close area here, so this like haloing that we're getting is just my least favorite. It's just, it screws up your whole game when the sky gives you these crazy bright halos. This must have been like Venus or something, just something nuts up there. It's like a focal point I just don't like. I could also be touching this with like a paintbrush and doing like a desaturation, darken. I'm in love with the clone stamp because you're using things that already exist within the photo. And I like that you can be, it doesn't feel like cheating as much as like making it something that completely didn't exist. It's like, this is here, I just moved it a little bit, or I copied it and made it more of the thing. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. Is it looking better than it was? I think so. It does still feel out of place. So maybe we do. Maybe we do go in with the paintbrush. Make this a little bigger. 70 flow is at maximum. Black. And it's just on darken. That's way too dark. What are you doing? 10%. No. It does look better. I'm still just not in love with it. Maybe I need to go, let's go smaller on the clone stamp. let's touch some of this purple back in there, just a little bit, just enough to make it feel like the blue has been broken up where it's really dark. We're just gonna touch a little bit of this back in here. Even that can go back in there just a little bit, just a hair, a scotch, if you will. Made it look too good. That's what it is. Should have made it look worse. That's more realistic. It's this purple that's screwing me up here. So we want to paint this to be more of the pinkish, dark pink. Don't love that. I could also just get rid of that. No, you know what? It's such a small part of this picture. It doesn't really matter. I'm obsessing over a stupid little point that doesn't need to get fixed. And that's rule number 1. Okay, now into here, we've got some little bright patches that I don't really care about. I do want to remove these headlights, I think. So we'll just grab something over here and drag it out further. And make sure that that doesn't have like a black line to it. Not seeing anything else. Maybe the clouds could get gotten, although then I'd have to fix the reflections too. I could get this one. But this is where you get dangerous because the colors are so specific. I'm going to leave it. I like it. I like it. We could flatten it out a little bit more. These get really clearly distorted around the corners. I could fix corners by adding in more stars, make it look more flat, but I think we're looking pretty good. So let's then duplicate this. This is going to be our high pass. I'm going to go into filter, other, high pass. How much of this do we really want to highlight here? Yeah. We're going to go overlay and let's turn it down. So that's at 0. That's at 100, which is too crispy. So maybe like a 30 something. Yeah, that's nice. That might actually be too crunchy. Let's do like a 20. Let's see how that. Yeah, it's so subtle, but it's so nice. Okay. And then I like that these are different shades of dark. There's still quite a bit of white in here, but I like the effect because this is what it looked like in person. Okay, so we go ahead and save this. Oh, big stretch. Okay. One down. That didn't change. Sweet. Okay. So we got our Lightroom adjustments, no noise cancellation. This is with noise cancellation and a few extra tweaks on top of it. And then this is our photoshopped, crispier, fixed the star up top, added more stars to the background. I like that. Now, let's edit a daylight photo of the same mountain. First things first, I want to straighten this because it is pissing me off. Tuna's being bad. I think that's right. I have a curved monitor, so sometimes cropping gets a little more difficult. Let's go down here. Let's do some profile corrections. Let's do some sharpening. And then we can begin. Bring contrast up. Highlights are going to come down pretty significantly. Honestly, I'm just going to drop them all the way to 100. Because then we can play whites up if we want. Make those clouds look extra floofy. Did you see her? Was she walking in like a little bandit? There she is. Give me just a second. Tootie. Come here, stupid. There she is. Tiny, stupid little baby cat. Right? That's you. She's so stupid. We love her so much. Okay. She'll probably just hang out up here now. Such a silly little goober. Okay, let me try this white just so I can see how my whites are actually doing. It's hard with the, let's see, I don't want to bring exposure up that high. So actually, let's drop exposure, but then I think we can bring whites up. Not that much, and not that much. But enough so that the image doesn't feel dark. And then I think we need tint to go back towards green because it's looking a little more pink. I like it there. Let's do this back to a medium gray. So we know that our whites are pretty white now. And then we can mess with the rest. So I don't want to cool it down too much. Oh, I untinted it green. But no, we're good. Okay, we're going to leave it there. We live and we learn. Let's put this up to a 14. I don't know if this crop makes sense, but I like that it gets this much of the rocks in, so we're going to hold it for now. Well, hold on. Hold the freaking phone. What if we do something more? If we keep that on like the bottom third line, and we bring the top of the cloud line up to the top third, we still get enough sky, but it's clearly more about the rocks. That's nice. Release me, Father. Yeah, she kind of just runs rampant on me all day. I'll be sitting here in a meeting and talking to a bunch of people that are very important and make tons of money and don't have a lot of free time, and she'll jump up and just start like drinking out of my water glass. Something like that. She is a little nut. Okay, dehaze is working wonders here. We want to bring vibrance up because we really want to see those rocks, but we don't want things to get too fake looking, so we drop the saturation. curve. I want the overall image to feel brighter, but I want our highlights to pretty much stay where they are. And I can even cap these a little more aggressively than usual, and that would let me bring up my exposure again. And then this is gonna have some wonders worked with the masking as well. Oh, but here we can bring shadows down a little bit more to get more contrast in the water. Can bring this up just slightly. It's still looking very green, but I don't want to lose the green. So jump down into the color mixer. Let's do green first. Could push it more aqua. Yellow, we can push. Ooh, that's kind of juicy. Obviously not like red, but like it looks a lot better going that direction than the other direction. Let's do something like that. Aqua. Aqua's going to land somewhere around here, and blue's even going to get pushed a little bit aqua too, like a -5. But we're going to bring those down in their intensity. And actually, I'm going to push this the other direction now that I look at it. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Orange. Orange, we could push more red. Not too red, because we can see that bank up here is going to be most heavily affected, but the rocks down below, I really want to have, like the red rocks in the water were just gorgeous. We want to make those pop a little bit more. So we could even, red could have higher saturation, even orange could have higher saturation, and then I'll just mask out the extreme orange on the hillside. This one, oh, Sean, good to see you, bud. I miss you. I called you earlier today, and you didn't pick up, and that's totally fine, because mostly I was just procrastinating what I needed to do from work. So you actually forced me to be better, which was nice. Tyler says we need more orange. I think you're wrong. Jude, I took this in Glacier Park in Montana. This is at 2 Medicine, so it was on the far side of the going to the Sun Road from where you come in like West Glacier. So East Glacier, technically, I think. I don't remember. This was 10 years ago, pushing 10 years ago. So pretty sure it's like East Side. Garfield vibes. It's not, yeah. The rocks are very similar to McDonald Lake. We didn't really visit McDonald Lake, but it's 2 Medicine, which I think is slept on. We spent most of our time here, and I couldn't have been happier. It was really cool. Okay, so I like toning this slightly down. I wish that I knew how to do like smoothing on the water without ruining the rest of the photo, but I'm not that good yet. That's something I need to work on learning. Maybe I'll learn that on YouTube tomorrow, and then Sunday when we stream again, it'll all kind of come together. We could even revisit this one. Okay. All right. Now we get into luminance. I don't know what I did to make the red rocks pop the first time I edited this, like 10 years ago, but it must have just been the oranges here, which, yeah, we can buff up quite a bit. I don't want to make it look fake, but we are going to play with masks in a minute, so can bring yellows up as well. That's going to make everything a little bit poppier. Greens, I like a little bit more vibrant. Aqua, that's really mostly in the clouds. So we might actually want to bring that down so we get a little bit more cloud detail around the mountain. Blue is primarily the sky. I think it looks nice right around here. Remember, we're going to darken that with like a manual vignette. Oh, you saw a ghost at McDonald Lake? That's crazy. What was the story behind it? I'm curious. I've been hearing a lot more like alien encounter, ghost story type of things. That is looking nice. So I'm collecting stories and anecdotes. I didn't realize that Mount Shasta is like such a hot spot for it, but there's some like crazy old legends down here that I've been learning more about that are really interesting. So here's a tool that we didn't have access to, at least not as powerfully when I initially shot this. This is going to make our water really look like water. And our shadows are going to look... Whenever I see red shadows, I think summer. And that's kind of the... But you know what? Purple might be the way we want to lean here. Whatever makes the rocks look the most colorful. Ooh. Maybe it's more of a magenta. A magenta. And maybe highlights we leave alone. I think highlights we're going to leave alone. Oops. Yeah, that's a nice little slightly cool curve there. Midtones look best right around there. I don't know how much that was. Shadows are good right around here. And then highlights. We do want true white, so it's not quite true white, but it's getting closer. So maybe we bring whites up even more. Up here. I think to get true white, it's going to screw up the whole thing. So we're going to leave that alone. Okay, let's start masking. Went with my friend on the off season, hiked around and we're like the only people there. Saw a fox, super clear, insanely windy. Whew. Okay, yeah, man with no face, not, that's too much. Too much for me. It's spooky. I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't think I can emotionally handle that right now. Huh, it actually looks good with a brighter... I guess we will have to just do a regular vignette at the end. I like that. I like it a lot. Okay. I have to be better at just not over touching things because I tend to do that. So now we can go darker on the sky. Bring the contrast up a little bit so we get better edges on the clouds. We can make them really bright and fluffy. and maybe get that true white back without ruining the reflection on the water. Damn it. So I'm using my 5D as my quote unquote webcam right now, and it's great. Like, quality is great, looks good, but even with it plugged in HDMI, it's got a plug-in battery, all that sort of stuff. The live view only connects to OBS if you've got live view on, and the live view timer is 30 minutes, and you can't change that. You can't disable that even with like Magic Lantern and stuff. And so I have my remote shutter plugged in, and every 30 minutes I have to click it. Well, half press it, because if I click it, then it actually triggers the shutter, and then that shuts down the whole situation. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Love it. Super excited about it. So at some point I would like to change out the camera. I just, the quality, the low light quality with a 1.4, I've got my wife's 1.4 24 millimeter lens on there. And so the low light is great. I have a light panel coming, which I'm excited about. I need that for work anyway. That will help a little bit with this, but like I don't feel like switching to my work thing, but my webcam just doesn't have it. It's really grainy. So we just deal with it. I need to get a little timer app to like re-trigger the camera, and every 30 minutes just hit it, but I'm also just a little lazy on that. But like I said, we're learning, we're getting better. It's just going to take a little bit of time. All right, so now let's make this splash a little splashier. And that can even mean that we can go darker with this. No, not darker, but maybe higher contrast. Just a little bit. Get back into our radial. Highlights down because of the reflection on the water, because I didn't know how to use NDR filters. Yeah, we want the whites to be higher, and we bring the blacks down. That'll just help really accentuate that splash is happening there. Oh, that's what we could do here. We didn't mess with color temp. Like, I could go way warmer. Not way warmer, but slightly warmer, and really bring out the colors in that. But then we could play with tint too. And then I could either make it really yellow, or we desaturate it a little bit. That's looking nice. Okay, back up here. Maybe we grade this more blue. It's a little too extreme. Like a -3. Tint can go a little more pink, honestly. And we could go higher saturation to help bring out more of the blue. I might mess with global saturation after this. I wonder what happens when we come in like this. And make this a little darker. Don't want it being quite so impactful on the sky. But I like that that is now going to be slightly darker. Let's do another one. And since this is where our light is coming in, this one's probably going to end up being a little bit brighter. Higher contrast so that the hills have similar feeling to them. Can even bring shadows up. I'm going to go warmer coming out of this. Bring whites just slightly down because that's the most blown out part of the photo. Make blacks a little more black. And let's bring saturation back in so that we get a nice little floaty blue piece right there. Okay. And then finally, I think I'm going to do another radial. And it's going to sit on this mountain. And actually, we're going to go wider because we're not going to be hitting much more other than the clouds and the blown out reflection here. So we're not hurting too much if we do a little bit more here. And this one's going to be really subtle. But I want that a little brighter. I don't necessarily want the clouds brighter. Really what I want here is less blue. No, we keep blacks. Blacks need to stay dark. So I don't want less saturation. I just want less blue. There we go. We turn it a little more orange. Not that much more orange, but just a little bit more. Bring some more yellow in. Okay. I don't get an HSL for this, do I? So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do the blues, and I'm going to drop some blues out of that. Not a ton, but I'm not loving... Ooh, that's pretty neat. Maybe it is. It's blue in the shadows, but it's not blue in the highlights. That's what's screwing us up here. Or is it more? It's this is so hard. So hard to decide because it's like in your head you can see two images, two different directions this could go. And right now it's just hitting me with a lot. I don't want to mess with greens. I like my greens. Okay. I may even desaturate greens a little bit more. Blues. See, it leaves the sky before it leaves them, but I can fix that later. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to desaturate blues significantly, but we're going to go back into our mask. We're going to take this and we're going to temp it down. And that'll help give more of an illusion of blue. Don't even have to temp it down that much because we can just raise the saturation here. So there's our floaty blue sky without being too blue. Okay. Now I'm feeling like there's not enough contrast in the photo, but I think that might just be, once again, a masking issue. Something more like that. Let's look at it compared to previously. Looking pretty dang good. This is a little too blue on the water. It doesn't quite look real. So I believe that was in our midtones. And we're just going to take a little bit of that out. And then I think we also, in this one, we went a little warm. I think I'm going to get rid of the warmth there. And then we can even go into our saturation. I actually like bringing some aqua back into this. I think that might be our green. It's really hitting that. So the more we bring down green, the more color comes out of that lake. There we go. That's looking pretty nice. What I may do here as well is go in with the brush, and all I'm gonna do is drop saturation like 20. And let's see how this looks here. We could also drop exposure on that. You know what? I'm going to redo this. Where's my brush? Okay. And we're just going to sort of paint right in. Don't forget to hit a little bit of the reflection, but you don't want to lose the detail in it. And we could even do that here as well. That's just going to make these mountains look a little more defined. And what we could even do, so saturation is down, exposure. Minus 20.24 is good. Blacks down, shadows up. White slightly up. Just got a notification that it's almost my bedtime. Old man hours, cooking it up. Maybe this is a little, no, it's not. It's not too much. In fact, it's not enough. Not nearly enough. Okay. And then we could even build in more clarity there. And I don't mind that a little. I don't mind that one bit. Dehaze, that's a little too much, but we could even touch that right there. So without masks, it's pretty flat. With masks, it's freaking sweet. We like that a lot. Let's take a look at, okay, we're going to get out of masks. How grainy are we? How noisy do things get? Not too bad. I don't think that we need to do any, I mean, we could look at like a nice little 8 on the noise reduction, and that's not anything too crazy. God, I said it again. I keep saying crazy. I gotta stop saying crazy so much. This one's gonna really like a vignette though. So we're gonna feather it all the way out so that it's as least extreme as possible, but yup. Before and after. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm happy with this. That's a 3. What just happened? Does not, my preview, there it goes. Okay, now our preview is good. Is there anything that I want to fix on this in Photoshop? I don't think the high pass, well, high pass might be kind of impactful, actually. If I remove chromatic aberration, is that going to fix this blue line? It does. Good job, Lightroom. I was going to have to go in and do edges in Photoshop, which is my least favorite thing. I could add more splash, but that just feels like cheating. I think we're going to leave it alone. I think we like that. You know what? No, I don't. I want more of this green back in it. There we go. You love to see it. Tap my remote shutter. Okay, we got 2 done. That's pretty good. Let's see. I don't want to start an architectural one because that's like a 2-hour endeavor right now. This is sort of half architectural. We could play with this momentarily. Man, I don't edit a lot of landscape orientation images anymore. I shoot so much vertical because of fucking social media that it's like odd to have an image that's this wide these days. That's a decent crop. Could even bring this down slightly, just slightly, not too egregiously. We still want the house to feel like it's kind of tucked away in the trees. That's right. Gotta do profile corrections, chromatic aberration, sharpening, and clarity. Dehaze? Dehaze isn't bad here. Like a 16. What are our high highs doing? You know what? I kind of like it blowing out because there's a lot of snow happening. Yeah, that's nice. Shadows can come up. Whites can slightly come up. Well, maybe we want to do that in reverse. Blacks up and shadows down. Yeah. Just a little crispier. Just a little more oomph to it. Yup. Okay. Curves. Let's give it a little bit down into a little bit up into back to normal right around here. We bring this slightly up. Bring this slightly down. Put this back on a white background. We still got true white up top. Do we want to warm it at all? Or make it cold and... Don't like that the smoke is coming out blue. But I guess I can paint that into less saturation. Okay. Yellow. We want to go a little more green. Orange. We kind of want to leave alone or just touch towards yellow. Green. Green's a touch more green, but we're going to desaturate the crap out of it. Yeah. Yeah. And then, let's see. Orange. Orange we need. Yellow we don't need as much of. So we're going to get yellow going down. Orange. It's not like super important that it's like orange. It's more important that it's luminant. So we can bring orange luminance up. Or do we want it? No, we want it up. Same with yellow. In fact, that's going to be like our highlights on the grass. So I don't mind doing something slightly like this. I think I want greens low. Maybe we build a little bit more saturation back in on the greens. But I like them kind of going icier, like an icy green. Aqua, there is not a lot of in this image, which is surprising. You'd think that it would be more aqua. God, I hate when people like turn their blues fucking this aqua. It really is like just a very light touch will go a long way. Purple is on our path, and we want that to be more blue. Magenta is some reflections on the house and a little bit in the ground. I think I'm just going to leave that one alone. So aqua, not as necessary. Blue, we can pull back significantly. Purple, we can pull back. We don't want it like completely gone because that is giving a nice cool tint to the path walking up. And magenta doesn't exist. Okay, and then we get into the luminance stuff. So this is really mostly hitting that mountain and that smoke. And I like the smoke being more luminant. And since we're going to mask off that top with a gradient later, it feels good to do brighter on the blues. I keep forgetting there's no magenta. Stop touching magenta, Aaron. Okay. So we got some basic tone and color correction going, and it's already looking more how it felt to walk up to this building at 4:30 in the morning. Although on a white background, no, I still like it. I still like it. Keep forgetting we have the ability to do. Yeah, see, so when we hit like midtones here with Lux, and then even if we are going to do some color correction here, like midtones, we can almost go warm. But then we go shadows are going to be much more impactful on this because it's kind of a darker image. And if we do this kind of like cool, oops. Maybe more green? Might be a little too green. That's nice. There we go. That's a good one. Okay, and then we go into highlights, and highlights might just not get anything. Or they might be more yellow. extremely light touch on the highlights. Yeah, that's nice. We could even... Actually, no, we want highlights up a little bit. Starting to peak again, but that's okay. Yeah, that's nice. We love it. Ooh, and then we might want to balance it. Right around there. These are such subtle changes, but it just feels like it completely overhauls the mood of the whole image. When you get them just right, it really, really makes a big difference to me, at least. I could spend so long obsessing over this stuff, as is evidenced by how long I've spent obsessing over this stuff in the past. This one's also going to really appreciate a vignette. Makes you kind of feel like you're being pulled down the path. Yeah. Okay, and then we're going to go into masks. So let's do our top gradient. And this is going to come down to the bottom of the house. And on this one, we can either make it a lot brighter, which I don't mind. I don't mind this just because we get more of the detail in the trees, and then what I can do is build the shadows back in darker, or even like shadows could even come up and blacks could come down. Because I really like what that's doing to our tree here. And we'll build another one in this way, since that's where the light's coming from. Temperature, we could warm that slightly since the sun was coming out. That looks really nice. And I like a slight drop in saturation. Don't need to do curves, don't need to do any of that for this. So let's jump in and do another linear gradient. This is going to be the path walking up. And I want this to feel dark. I want this to feel like you are coming out of the woods. You've stumbled upon a cabin in the woods, and it's just beckoning you with good food and a hot fire and hello, weary traveler. Put your feet up and rest. And we're going to layer that even further up. Like it's the last lamppost before salvation. Wow, yeah, it looks cool when we cool it way down too. Okay. But I'm also going to desaturate that pretty significantly. Okay. Looking better. And let's draw a radial gradient on this house. It's not a house, it's the lodge. I don't know why I keep saying it's a house. Like there. Slight bump up, slight decrease in contrast. Highlights can come down, but shadows can come up. This is going to be so much better than the first time I edited this picture. It's crazy how much A, Lightroom has changed, and B, just how much I've changed in my preferences. This might be my wife's favorite place on the planet, too, so I'm glad that we're doing this. Hello. Okay. I will be there shortly. Ish. Ish. What does this look like without this on? Yep, you know it. Wow, look at the difference just from the... And what that's telling me is that this is a little too intense. This is just a little too intense. And the one up top is a little too intense. Always good to check your stuff. Maybe this one down here needs to not come up so high. Felt like it did. Now I'm reconsidering. And we still need to do the sunlight accentuation. So this is where our light's coming from. We do want that high contrast so that the shadows behind this tree stay pretty locked in. Shadows down, whites. Whites can get a slight buff. Blacks, we're already messing with our blacks so much. I'm going to bring the blacks up a little bit here. And that's just going to help soften that left edge a little bit, which is nice. There we go. Tap in the old cami. And then we could warm it up coming from the left ever so slightly, but I think what I might want to do is drop saturation if I'm going to do that. And let's look at this now. Look at how much we were able to do with that. That's so cool. I love editing pictures, man. This is like my favorite thing. And there's definitely some stuff in here that I'm going to want to fix in Photoshop. So we will probably, what is lens blur? Oh, leave that alone. Hell no. Definitely some stuff that I want to fix in this in Photoshop. Starting to run a little late here. Could potentially do some noise reduction too. Yeah, you know what? It's always kind of just worth it to do a little bit of noise reduction. Maybe not a 50, that feels a little too intense, but yeah, it's worth it. I never think it's going to be worth it, and it's always fucking worth it. So let's see how much that changed between the denoise version. It didn't change. So it was just our star photo that decided that it hated everything that we stand for. I'm going to go throw this in Photoshop. And we're going to remove some things that are just bugging me. Like this guy. Handy dandy clone stamp tool. Let's duplicate the layer. Let's go removals. And we're going to make you bigger. Not quite that. Well, yeah, we can do it to start. Okay, so all we're going to do here is grab some of the grass on this side. And just start painting it out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And we're going to grab from this side for this one. Let's actually grab on the line here, and then a cool trick is you can line the lines up, and that way you get this consistent looking without ruining it. Kind of applying the same concept here, except we're just gonna try to get rid of that. And now it's like that pole never even existed. We can do the same with this cone. Oh shit. Didn't mean to do that, whatever that was. Hope it didn't fuck anything up. I don't think it did. So this one's gonna be a little trickier. We're gonna want a smaller stamp. And we're just gonna grab like on this black. Are we? No, I think we're actually gonna grab over here and we're just gonna paint this down. And that should get rid of a lot of that. And then we'll kind of steal like in here. Actually, let's grab this diagonal and we can bring that up. And then we go back over here. We're going to grab this again. We're going to steal it. Paint it straight down. Come in from over here. We can grab some path to eliminate that. We'll grab some of this dark, underbrushy looking crap and bring it up. And then grab you, bring you down. It's a tedious, so much of editing photos is tedious, but I mean, it's such a small change, but it's so worthwhile to do that. I'm going to do the same sort of thing up here with the roof. I need to grab roof line. Actually, let's see, those are spaced pretty wide. So I'm going to grab roof line plus this bulb. And then I'm going to line it up with the rest of the roof line and bulb. And I'm going to use that to paint out a lot of this orange here. And then what we can do is grab on one of these lines, line it back up, and paint that out. But we want it to be more yellow, so we grab here and we blend it in. It still does look odd because of the orange tint, so actually we do want to grab... Actually, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It looks better than it did. That is for freaking sure. You can take that to the... No, it's not. It's not fine. I don't like that orange splotch. Okay. So let's just grab a different piece of roof and we'll paint in a better color that we like more. We just keep these lines lined up. So the nice thing about architectural stuff is a lot of lines that you can use. And we'll just kind of pepper in some of this yellow to make it look more realistic. And even some of this yellow green can come over here too. Kind of get rid of this green tint. And that looks a lot better. I don't know what the fuck. Oh, a tree branch fell on this. We're going to get rid of that because it's distracting. And I already struggle enough with being distracted. Okay. That is looking so good. This sign kind of distracts me as well. And but it's going to be really tough to get those lines painted out. Maybe I'll just make it... No, it's fine. We can get rid of these though. So just same thing, kind of grabbing pieces of this. And we're just going to paint it out as much as we can, making it look natural. Down here, we can do the similar thing. You'll notice I'm just grabbing kind of in the same spot. Sometimes you can get lost in the clone stamp and just need to like pull back to look at things. Okay, I want this part of the rock. And then it just looks like a big rock when you're zoomed out. Anything else? What are you back here? Let's get rid of that. This is just eliminating little distractions in the image that kind of pull you out of whatever feeling you're trying to build into it. If I'm almost wanting to take that branch out, but that might just be a little bit of overkill. Back here, the building extends all the way over there, but I really want to focus on this part, so I may just grab bushes here and like blend the forest together more, so that you don't have this white patch. And actually, I need to make sure that this tree doesn't get lost, so we can build this trunk up more here, and then we can go in and paint more of this out with foresty, undergrowthy stuff. And that'll just sort of cover the fact that there's a house back there. Get rid of this sign. Same thing. And this one back here we can get rid of. I'm sort of just like, based on how the rest of this bush is looking, I'm sort of grabbing shadows first to build out where you would want like a trunk to be behind the tree. And then I'll go in and grab a little piece of highlight and sort of layer that on top, and that gives the illusion that the plant is bigger than it actually is. But you have to like build a tree from the trunk out to the leaves. I like that little highlight there. That's nice. I don't want it to be too obvious that I'm stealing the same highlights over and over, but we do want to give it some highlights in there. Otherwise it looks just splotchy and gross. Okay. So we've eliminated a lot of the major distractions. I do want to clean up this path, which shouldn't take too long. I'm going to make this bigger again. And just some of these specks that are like really obvious, I'm going to get rid of with this clone stamp tool. My favorite thing on the planet is this clone stamp tool. There we go. Don't want it to look too pristine, because then it's obvious that this was that you're at like a lodge, you know? You don't want to be... I want it to feel like you're stumbling on this cabin in the woods after a long hike, and you're just so excited to go in and get a bowl of soup, you know? It's like one of the best feelings in the world, that hot meal right after being out in the cold for a long time. I think that's what I want this image to feel like you've just discovered an oasis in the middle of the forest, and there could be a witch that lives there that wants to bake you into a pie, but you're willing to risk it because the smell of the soup is so good. I think I'm at an age where I would die for the right soup. I don't think that that's too crazy to say. Okay. Man, we're getting close here. You know what the clone stamp is the best for is when you take pictures of people and they need to have blemishes removed. It really just is a lifesaver for that. Because you can get down to the pixel if you really want to. And then there's a few little pieces of things that, I know that's a leaf, but it looks like it could be garbage because it's reading so much brighter than everything else. Same with like this stuff here. So we're just going to make the dirt look like dirt and not like somebody littered. Take some of the highlights out of these areas that we want to have be dark. That green isn't too, you know what? I don't like it. It's too distracting. Looks like something's crawling out of the woods onto the path. And we just want you to be focused on the building. This dark splotch is also fucking up my whole vibe. And then I think maybe as an homage to my brother who said that I need to put more scary things into my photos. So silhouette. We are going to grab ooh, that's a good one. No, how do I get the actual download? Click to download. Sure. Good. We're going to put Bigfoot in here somewhere. We're going to hide him back in the depths. So where would Bigfoot be walking? First of all, he's too wide. So let's make him a little more lean. And then I also think that I want to do, let's see, like, would it be soft light? No. Overlay? No. That's still, is it just darken? I don't know what I'm trying to do here. Is it multiply? Maybe multiply is what we want. And then like not quite 100% opacity. It's not dissolve. Fuck it. We'll just put him in normal. And he's going to be like, oh, he's pretty tall. Okay, let's size him up next to the door, right? Because he's going to be big compared to people. So he does need to be more like this. Tall. He's been putting in some time at the gym. So where can we hide him? Or do we want to... Oh, okay. Here's what we do. We flip him horizontally. He's coming in over here, back where we were messing with the trees. He's going to be lurking back here. Just making his way in. Yeah. And let's put his opacity more like there. Yeah, there we go. Is that too obvious? I kind of wanted to put him back here. I'm going to put him back there behind the tree. He's going to be peeking out of the tree. So we're still at door height. When we go back here, he doesn't need to be that tall. He can be like this. And I'm going to stick him like there. And then I'm going to mask him off from this tree. So he's just coming out from behind that tree there. Is that the right tree trunk? Yeah. Yeah, he's just lurking. Just a little Easter egg. Bring that opacity up slightly. And let me see, adjustment on him. I want like, oh, that's the whole thing. Never mind. Yeah. We're gonna stick him in there. You'd never know unless you looked really closely. And he's sized appropriately. Okay. Re-hit the camera. So now I think what we need to do here, actually before I did that, what I need to do is duplicate, and we're gonna go high pass. And actually, so you can see all the crap we removed from that image. It really cleans up just the busyness of the whole thing, which is always a nice thing to have done. High pass, we're going to go into filter, we're going to go into other, high pass. 36 is a little high on this. I would do somewhere around a 30. And then we're going to put that on overlay, and we're going to drop the opacity down, but we're going to keep it like low 30s as well. And you can see in a daylight image that really just defines your edges a little bit better. So that's another architectural photography trick. You always want to use that high pass. And then we've got our little Bigfoot peeking out back here. Sasquatch. And I actually think he needs to be like this. So, okay, where's that tree trunk? Right there. And then the mask, I need to further mask that off. And I really do think his opacity needs to be a little less, so he blends a little bit better. And I think that's that. I think we've got our image. It's looking nice. So we can save that. Jump back into Lightroom. Got our Sasquatch. We know that's our edit. And this is number 5. So let's look at our stack for this one. This was the Lightroom adjustments before the noise cancellation. And then we moved, yeah, so this is just a slight bit better with the noise cancellation. If we zoom in really close, you can see the difference here. Just a little bit more detail. And wait a minute. Why does it do it that way? Don't do it that way. So this is the enhanced DNG. This is the Photoshop version. This is the original. I don't like that they're in that order, but here we are. So yeah, this is our final version right here. Sweet. And I think that about wraps it up on photography for me for the night. That was 3 images that we finalized all the way from start to finish. Really happy with all of them. This one we didn't touch in Photoshop, mostly because there just isn't a whole lot to do. I definitely could bring it in and do the high pass and all that sort of stuff. This is just one that has been sitting on a hard drive for so long. I've always edited these versions that don't have the splash, and this just felt like something fun, a little challenge to do that could potentially utilize a radial blur, which we did. This guy was super fun. Another one that is just a favorite of mine from a long time ago. I don't know why these are out of order. Yeah, 2 of 3 is our, usually it's 1 of 3, so I don't know why 1 of 3. Anyway, this is my favorite from the night. This was our Lightroom edit. This is with the noise canceling applied, and it definitely changed our colors up, so we had to do some additional editing, and we did our blurs and stuff like that, or our gradients and stuff post that. And then this was our final coming out of Photoshop. We fixed that bright planet a little bit. Still not exactly where I'd want it to be, but honestly, I don't want to spend the time figuring out how to do that. And we added in a little bit more Milky Way definition and stars in the reflections. And then this guy, we basically took from here, because this is really similar to the Lightroom edit, not a whole lot of differences, but then we removed a significant amount of stuff. We added that high pass filter. We made a little bit better definition in shadows and contrast, and we added our homie down here stepping out of the woods. So pretty happy with that all around. 3 final images. Don't know why that's happening. What the heck? What the heck and frick? Oh, I didn't even have these flagged. That's why. Pick. Okay. So now let's jump in. So these are our 3 finals from the night. And I love all of these pictures. I love the memories attached to all these pictures. I'm very glad that I finally got to sit down and touch these. So thank you to everyone that's hanging out. I really appreciate people tuning in and chatting it up a little bit. And sorry that I'm a little more low energy tonight. I am just a little wiped from work, but it was nice to jump in and start doing some photos. I think in the future, I'd like to spend maybe an hour and a half editing photos, and then I think it'd be really fun to do something like a Let's Play or something like that. Start a Stardew Valley file or something so that I can not be as focused in on details and sort of chat with people that are still hanging out a little bit. So we'll see. We might do something like that. We might also do something more like get as much photo editing done in an hour as we can, and then do like an hour of photography related topics. So I would love to talk about kind of people's favorite photographers and or favorite images that you guys have taken. I'd love to check out various people's Instagrams, find new people to follow, just get some inspiration. Maybe we do an inspiration hour and then we jump into photo editing and see how different it is, or do something like edit a picture and then go look at a really good photographer that we look up to and aspire to be, and then go back and edit the same image again from scratch and just see like how different is it after taking in a little bit of inspiration from somebody. I think that could be a fun exercise just to go through, even if it doesn't amount to anything. It'd be interesting to see how your taste changes after being exposed to somebody. But I'm going to get these all exported. These are going to go up on Instagram tomorrow. Planning the next stream to be Sunday. It may be... Oh, hi, Tuna. It may be... I may jump on earlier than that just because this is a lot of fun, and I'm getting some gear in the mail tomorrow that's going to help improve the stream significantly. It's going to be that microphone arm so that I can actually look at the camera and sit with good posture, which will be so nice. Also looking at getting like light panels and stuff like that. I do a lot of videography for my 9 to 5, and I got to get those things anyway, but I was really excited to utilize those for lighting the stream properly. Picture quality is going to be a little bit better. And I'm starting to brainstorm some other YouTube video ideas, like going out and sort of documentary style. How do you actually capture the image that you're then going to bring into Lightroom and do the editing? So I was thinking a lot today about how being a photographer today is kind of a funny thing, especially like if you're an outdoor photographer. I've got all this half of me that just wants to like buy an old cabin in the woods that doesn't even have electricity and live out my days like the Unabomber, but with a camera. And then the other side of me is like, I love the tech behind it. I think it's so interesting. There's a lot of issues with technology in general, but like I love this sort of like broadcast streaming, putting on a show, hanging out with people digitally, especially since I have no friends down in the tiny town where we live. So we're just going to kind of see how it evolves. We're going to have some variety. I love that photography means that I can really touch on a bunch of different stuff. And then depending on people's interests and games that look like fun and stuff like that, we may build in some more video games at the very end of it. So we'll see how things develop. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. I am kind of losing it though. My eyes are getting real tired from staring at the screen. So I gotta go to bed. I'm an old man. I gotta be up early in the morning, but a plan definitely to see me live again on Sunday. I'll be trying to post some shorts and maybe a short video about one of these images that we edited tonight between now and then. And I'll probably do a test stream, if not tomorrow night, then Saturday night. And that'll be primarily for stream setup sort of stuff and maybe playing some video games with friends. So we'll be around. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it a lot. And I'll see you guys soon. Say bye. It's like the one time a day she's not that talkative. It's insane. All right. Toodles.